Neil Battaglia, Neilian.com. This video is about how to derive the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is pretty useful for solving quadratic equations. If you can factor, you probably should do that. But if you can't factor, which is sometimes the case, or if you don't feel like factoring, you can use the quadratic formula. So you can use the quadratic formula for quadratic equations. So of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. In that equation, you have two coefficients, a and b. One's in front of the x squared, one's in front of the x, and then a constant, which is c. So the first step for deriving, let's divide everything by a. The reason for that is it's going to be easier to kind of deal with the numbers and variables involved if you have just x squared instead of ax squared. So you end up with x squared plus b over ax plus c over a equals 0. If you divide 0 by a, you still have 0. The next step, we're going to kind of move towards completing the square. So we're going to subtract c over a from both sides. Now we've got x squared plus b over ax equals minus c over a. And I left a little bit of space to complete the square. To complete the square, we take the coefficient of the middle term, which is b over a, and we divide it by 2. So it becomes b over 2a. And then we're going to square it. So that gives us b squared over 4a squared. And we're going to add that to both the left side and the right side. At this point, we have x plus b over 2a squared. On the right side, we have b squared over 4a squared minus c over a. It'd probably be good if we had a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply the c over a by 4a over 4a. So at this point, we have x plus b over 2a squared is equal to b squared minus 4ac over 2a, which is squared. That's the same as 4a squared. Now I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So we've got x plus b over 2a is equal to plus or minus b squared minus 4ac in the parentheses, and the square root of 2a, which is squared, is 2a. So having the plus or minus just on the right side is actually sufficient, because you could kind of switch it over to the left side. If you had parentheses, you could switch it back. If you had two sets of plus or minus, it would actually be the same effect as having one set of plus or minus. So now we've got x plus b over 2a equals plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and that's over 2a. This is starting to look more like the quadratic formula. The last step is to subtract b over 2a from both sides, and then we wind up with what we know as the quadratic formula. So minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Let me know if you have any questions, leave a comment, and let me know what you'd like to see in future videos. I'm also available as a tutor in the Monterey area if you want to contact me about that. Or if you want to try and do some lessons online, I can also do that.